All right, welcome to week 5, fundamentals. Last week we worked on fundamentals and working with buyers. This week we're going to work on working with sellers, okay? So the first thing we want to talk about is having a repeatable process is actually the key to being a more relatable person. You see, if you're thinking about what you're going to say next because you maybe haven't practiced the presentation, you're going to be inside your head and you're not going to be focused on the consumer. But if you practice like a pro and you follow the same process each time, what happens is it becomes second nature to you and you can connect with people more. So it sounds weird to use a presentation which may feel like a scripted presentation to actually be more personable with a person. But I would argue that that's actually the case, because after you practice a process and a way of going about business with people, then your natural personality takes over because you know what you're going to say next. You know what slides come next. You know what process comes next. And you can just be yourself and talk to them without wondering what's coming next. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so here's the process you should use with sellers, okay? You're going to prepare. I'm going to tell you what to say at the door, knock, knock. You're going to be prepared with questions, because questions are the key to bonding. We're going to talk about how questions can be a key to a way to also tear down rapport as well. So, because I certainly have that characteristic, which is not a good one. You're going to present, and then you're going to close. Sounds easy, doesn't it? The hard part is that people are people. And so you're going to get curveballs every time. So that's the other reason why you have a process, okay? Because people are going to throw you curveballs, but if you have a process that you're working through, you're just more able to react, okay? But when you close, there's only 2 outcomes, not 3, 2, okay? 2 outcomes. You're going to the paperwork, or you're creating a compelling next step plan. But if you go with this vision of it, it's clearer what you have happening. But what happens is sometimes we go for the paperwork and we don't get it. And then we don't have a next step. And we're in no man's land. Sometimes we go for next steps when we should have gone for the paperwork, and somebody else gets the commission check. Okay, so let's talk about preparation. All right, I love this Russell Wilson one. Sorry for those of you that don't live in Western Washington, but the separation is in the preparation. All right, so how do you prepare? First of all, I do a CMA, a wide range CMA, because there were too many times I would show up to a house and the neighbor would be for sale or just sold, and it's a totally different house. I'm coming to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. The neighbor across the street's a 5-bedroom house with 1,000 more square feet. And then my prospect thinks that's relevant. And I didn't know why it wasn't. Oopsies. So you got to have a wide range CMA. All right? The next thing is then now you're going to just drill down on exactly how you like to find the value of homes. Here's my preference. I like a half-mile radius. I'll go further out or further in if I have enough comps. I like to have plus or minus 20% in square feet. Why do I do that? Well, a great dialogue with clients is you say, hey, listen, if an appraiser has to adjust if he uses an appraisal, if he uses a home in an appraisal that has more or less than 20% in square feet. So, hey, appraisers think that that's an important piece. So do buyers. Similar bed and bath count. Okay, so what similar means is, hey, you kind of know what similar is. If it's bedroom, I usually like to look at plus or minus 1. Sometimes I even leave it out because I got so many times, in the Pacific Northwest, you'll have this den that turns into a bedroom, or something gets converted to that or this. And so I learned that if I was too specific on my bed count, I was losing some comps. And I was getting surprised by what I saw when I was there. All right? Bed, if it's got 2 baths, excuse me if I said baths, I meant baths. I said beds. If it's got 2 or more, I just put 1.75 plus. Consumers, in general, aren't going to be that finicky about a stand-up shower versus a tub, but you don't want to miss any good comps. All right, if you're having trouble determining value from that because of the activity or lack of activity, or it's a unique property, then maybe you'll look at lot size, maybe you'll look at age, maybe you'll look at waterfront or some other unique feature. But if it's just your run-of-the-mill house, right, these general criteria should give you a feel for what houses are selling. And you're really looking like you're a buyer at this point. Look as if you're a buyer. Hardest thing to do is once you meet the person. Because what happens when you meet the person is you start rooting for them. You want them to get more. They start to tell you their story, and you're buying into their story because we care about them, right? But the only way to really care is to do a great job for them. So you got to have your homework down pat before you get there, all right? Then you're going to know 4 prices, all right? My walkaway price. Hey, if they say the only way I'm going to get this, then you want to have the dialogue ready. Hey, I'd rather disappoint you today than disappoint you down the road. But you never ever walk away from a motivated seller. Most important thing, I've had really smart people that sell a lot of houses in our firm come back and throw back at me and say, hey, you told me not to disappoint them, or disappoint them now because that wasn't going to sell. Well, not if they're motivated. If you know they're wise and they're just overly optimistic and they've got a plan, if they're not going to get it, you want to be a part of that ride. Hopefully that makes some sense. So you never want to walk away from a motivated seller. All right, so there'll be more to come on how to do this. Then there's your next price. It's that, I'm a little uncomfortable with that one. Okay? Might sell here, but I better see some really good stuff inside. It better present well. Maybe it's updated. All right? I'm a little uncomfortable, but hey, if I see an updated this or that, it's going to look more like one of these houses, and I could probably go there. Is that making sense? This is me preparing. I haven't even been to the house yet, because very often we haven't been to the house before we come to list it. All right? Then you got your target initial list price, and then you got your selling the first week price. Selling the first weekend. So I am so thankful we're coming out of the idiocy of the market that we were just in. Okay, because you didn't need a pro just 3 short months ago. You kind of need one now. You have to have somebody that knows how to price houses and market them to get them sold, because inventory came on in a hurry. All right, those are the 4 prices. I want to write them down. I want to know them inside and out, and I want to know my whys around it. All right? You will be tempted to punt this exercise. Oh, I don't know enough. Oh, I haven't seen enough. Try to never go in without your 4 prices. You can always change them if you see something that's really an anomaly, okay? More often than not, you won't see the anomaly and you're ready to transact. All right, cool. Color picture tour, we're going to cover this in detail in the next video, okay? Color picture tour is my secret weapon, all right? It's this game to bond with the seller, teach them how to look at life as if they're looking through the eyes of a buyer, and get them to do what is logical, which means you all win. We'll cover that. You need your laptop and your presentation ready, willing and able to go. You need your seller folder, which is also known as your selling resource kit. So we talked about this in the last video. At our firm, and for you, if you're an individual agent working at any firm, create your own folder so you don't have to worry about this stuff, right? You got your own folder, you got a few in your car, in your office, you grab one, you go. Part of having a routine gives you comfort. If you follow your routine, you can relate with people more. All right. Okay? You want to look at the notes, and you want to think. Most powerful and important part about preparation is, what do I not know about them yet? What does the note say, and what does that really mean? Okay, Couple of examples. They want to sell because the husband passed away. Does that tell me what I need? Not really. It's the first level. Where are they going? Why now? How long did they wait? You have to be inquisitive, because if you're inquisitive about the person and their situation, it will show in your heart, and then you will learn more about them. That's how you become part of their decision-making team. All right? When are they moving? This is my W's. There's 3. When are they moving? Why are they moving? And where are they going? The more you know about why they're moving, when they're moving, and where they're going, the closer you're getting to the decision-making team. It's like riding in the front seat of the car with them, right? If you're riding in the third seat of the car, you got no chance. You can barely see where you're going, okay? But once you know more, you're moving closer and closer to being on the team with them, and then you can understand more. And then you can actually get to how much money. The more you know about the W's gives you the right to understand how much money they really need. Because the first answer that they're going to give you is probably not the complete answer, because they're just getting to know you when you're talking about how much money they need. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So, is it all about the job? Is it all about the next house? Is it all about something else? Some tax liens, some financial pressure that they're not going to tell you the first time you meet? Right? We can have a show of hands even though we're not kind of conversing on camera, but how many of you guys have listed a home, started working with a client, and then found out a new piece of data about their finances that was like, oh, it connected all the dots? Am I the only one? Okay. And then you realize, oh, you should be proud of that moment. Okay? I have a recent transaction where all of a sudden it all came together, and the initial discussion was, I would never take less than my neighbor, and the whole market has shifted, and blah, blah, blah. But then, a few weeks later, we're looking at this beautiful house. It's at a different price point, lower, and something comes up about a financial pressure that was never communicated to me. And I felt like I earned my way onto the decision-making team. That was a win for me. If you're prepping and you're thinking like this ahead of time, and you're working to earn the right to be on the decision-making team, you're going to sell a lot more houses. If it's a chop shop, follow the script and muscle them into it, you'll sell plenty, but you'll sell more if you do it this way. All right. So what do we do at the door? Well, knock, knock. Hey, I'm Scott. I'm with RE/MAX. You ready to get your home sold? I'm with Scott. I'm in Hometown Advisor Real Estate. You ready to get your home sold? Every time. Not sometimes. Every time. So what's funny is I meet with lots of people, and then they'll tell me, wow, that feels weird. That's not me. Okay. This is one I don't like to change, because it shows their mindset and their personality right from the get-go. Okay? So it feels weird, but the logic behind it is very, very sound, because you're going to know right then how they answer, the type of personality they are. And then you can adjust your presentation, speed it up, slow it down, start to understand how to serve them by how they answer that question. Okay? Yeah, yes or definitely. I might thinking about the short program. You know, I'm going to get through this whole thing. This guy's all business. I play well with high D's because I'm a high D, right? High I's, you know, oh, I'm pretty sure your tie's really nice. I'm thinking, oh boy, all right, let's hug. Maybe we'll sell a house too. All right, but I'm going to hug. That's the funny part. All right? Well, we'll see. We shall see. Not really sure. Just getting together. Just getting the process started. Okay? I don't take any of these initial answers as truth. They're just an early indication of their personality and what it's going to take to get on their decision-making team. Okay? Then I'm going to lead them to the kitchen. Oh, God, do you mind giving me a tour of the home? First, I'm taking my shoes off every time, not sometimes. I don't care if they're wearing shoes. I don't care if it's a dirty place. I'm taking my shoes off to show respect. And I'm going to lead them to the kitchen. And I'm going to ask for a tour while I'm leading them to the kitchen. And I have some materials I've prepared. I'm really anxious to show it to them, but first I want to see a tour. Do you mind if we just set our stuff here at the kitchen table so I can get a tour and then we can come back here and chat? Would that be good? All right. Okay? So the little things, I definitely believe it works. Take your shoes off. I always dress one level above. I do have suits. I wear this. I wear a tie. I don't wear a suit. Because in the Pacific Northwest, people are pretty casual, so you actually don't see very many ties, but you'll see people dressed nicely. And you just want to be one small notch above. I know in Phoenix, it's totally abnormal to wear a tie, and you're going to look weird wearing a tie. Okay, good. Well, then look like a pro, one level above what they're wearing. That's all. All right. So now, during the tour, I'm going to ask and listen, and I'm going to compliment features, but I'm not going to dwell on any negatives. They'll point out negatives, okay? You just take note and move on. In fact, don't let them dwell on it. Hey, plenty of homes are like that, no worries. Sold plenty of homes in much worse condition than this one. So no worries, all right? Now you're going to talk casually about your W's. Why, when, where are you going? All right? And this needs to be a conversation. Where are you moving? Is it about your job? Where do you work? Oh, that's exciting. You want to just get a lower commuter? Or is the commute killing you? What's going on if they're moving locally? All right? Now, it's very often a window into their personality. And if you've prepared and you've thought about the phone conversation you've had, and any notes that you have about the person, and you've kind of, I have written out questions sometimes before I'll go. Thankfully, I'm a very inquisitive person, and this sort of part comes naturally to me. But if it doesn't come naturally to you, that's why you prepare. They're moving to California. I wonder why. I wonder where they work. I wonder if they have kids. I wonder how old they are. I wonder if the school system's important. I wonder. And then if you think about that, you'll have questions at the ready. You won't need to read them, but because you've prepared, they'll naturally come up, all right? And you want to save your transition questions. So I'm going to give you a couple of transition questions that help me transition to the presentation, and you save those. You do not do those during the tour. Okay, so the questions are the key to bonding. Now questions really they got to come from a genuine heart, a posture of service, okay? You want to show care and consideration, and I do it through humor or try and lighten the mood a bit, Is the commute killing you? Boy, the traffic was terrible if they're moving local. Sometimes I want to know, okay, are you trying to move closer to family? Are you trying to move closer to your job? Well, tell me more about that. Tell me more, okay? If it's you looking with your notepad, asking question after question and checking them off, and it feels like an inquisition, probably aren't building rapport. It's obvious, but sometimes the phrases that you use are probably the most important thing to work on. All right? Do I know their W? Why? When? Where? Because I'm a freak about process, because I've practiced my process, in my mind, it's all starting to come together. Okay, I'm learning more about that why. I'm learning more about that where. And then I can tell me more about that. Use the tell me more about that technique, okay? Because if you are really working to learn, to serve, to do a great job for them, to help them get to the next chapter of life, then you're going to be on the decision-making team, okay? Now, once you know the why, where, and when, and you have done it in a way that is rapport building, not breaking, they will naturally be more frequently share with you how much they need to net. But and we've all had this happen to us, when they treat you like you are the guy that was from Publishers Clearinghouse coming to give them a bag of money. Like, you're the person because they have a house, okay? Just because they think they won the lottery and they own a house and you're there to get them the untold fortune, you're probably not on the decision-making team because they probably aren't selling just because they're going to get money. In fact, they won't sell unless you know the W's. All right. So you want to try to work toward getting on the decision-making team by caring about why, where, when. Because that helps you create this plan to help them. All right, transition questions. All right, so now I've gotten back to the kitchen table, and I've got my laptop ready. I've got my folder out, and I'm going to make a summary statement. Okay, gosh, this is great. I just want to do a really, really good job for you. What I've learned from our brief conversation is that you want to move where, why, and when. Now, I really want to understand more about your top 3 goals in getting your home sold. So, what are your top 3 goals with getting your home sold? All right? So, and then you're going to probe. Hey, well, tell me more about this timing. Is there a concern about getting the kids into school or not to get into school? Tell me a little bit more about why we're moving now. Why not later? Tell me more about that. Tell me more about, okay? And if this is coming from a posture of help and service, you're going to win. If this is a high D and you got good answers, then you can move on. All right? There's your top 3 goals. You're going to write them down. Okay? There is a logic behind it. You almost always will get a variation of, I want top dollar with the least amount of hassle and in the fastest amount of time. Top 3 reasons why people sell houses. You almost always get a variation, some or all of those. That's why we ask the top 3 goals. But you will get other stuff. Then you go, okay, hey, all right, now, what do you think the top 3 things you got to do in order to get those three goals? What are the top 3 things you got to do? All right? Now, this is open-ended on purpose because you want them to be fill in the blanks. Tell us what's important to them. Very often you're going to get, because it's an open-ended question, they might get sidetracked over to, geez, I got to paint and I got to do some bark out front and I got to do this repair and that repair and then I got to blah, blah. Okay, that's great. And I'm just writing these notes down. All right? And then it gives me a chance to ask my follow-up question, which is, okay, well, that's great. Now, tell me about the top 3 things, 1 thing, 3 things that you expect from the real estate community in order to help you. This is when they start to tell you that commission's really important, or open houses are super important, or they don't really like agents because they're lazy. Whatever they're going to tell you, okay? Some of it might be accurate, most of it won't be accurate. But it gives you your roadmap on what you're going to cover more or less on the upcoming presentation. Hopefully that makes some sense. Now we're going to move to the presentation. So today I'm actually going to talk about the presentation. I'm going to talk about how to close the presentation, and then I'm going to do the presentation. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So before you transition to the presentation, you want to know, do they have clarity about why they're moving, when they're moving, and where they're going? Okay? Do you have clarity about it? Okay? A great example that happens quite a bit is somebody says, I am scared to death of all this 20 years of accumulated stuff and I don't know where I'm moving to. Am I going to get a listing presentation signed tonight? Probably not, okay? So if it's ambiguity, you know, you want to set a solid follow-up plan that solves that blocker for them, right? Common mistake is we go for the listing agreement, but we don't have a solid follow-up plan. You can absolutely go for the listing agreement every single time. That's fine with me. That depends on your personality. But if you go for a listing agreement and you sign it for some day in the future and you don't have a solid plan to help them and be on the decision-making team, you will not list that house no matter what. So hopefully that makes sense. This isn't, you can absolutely ask for the business tonight in either event. In my experience, it's more important to understand where they are and then create the solid follow-up plan. That's what gets you back in the door to be a part of helping them. If you can get back in the door and you have a signed listing agreement, more power to you, that's fantastic. Okay, then you're going to do your presentation. So this is the most important thing as I look back on how I've trained this in the past. Your clarity about their clarity, your understanding of their clarity drives your goal of the presentation, okay? If they tell me, hey, I'm never going to sell my house until I know exactly where I'm moving, okay, I know what I got to do. I got to help them understand how this all pieces together. And my goal then becomes, my personal style is, I'm going to leave something major undone so that I have a reason to get back in touch with them and meet them, and I'm going to schedule that day. Okay, some of you will say, yeah, I'm going to leave something major undone, but I'm going to have a listing agreement, and I'm going to have an appointment to come back with them. Both answers are fine. Just trust your own style, but have one. What happens is, many brokers that I've talked to and taught over the years is they don't have clarity. Either the consumer doesn't have clarity or they haven't gotten enough rapport with the person to understand what their plan is, so they go for the signing of the listing and then they lose touch with that client because they're not part of that process over time. You're going to give your presentation and then we're going to close, okay? So I'm going to explain the close, then I'm going to do the presentation, and then we'll come back to the close. You'll see how well I do. Might not do a great job, might do a pretty good job. But I've done it enough times to where I probably will be better than average at it because I've practiced. Make sense? All right, so in the closing, we're going to get to the recap slide. Okay? If you don't have a presentation, all you got to do is hit us up on email. And in your resource guide, you can have ours. I can connect you with Danny at the 320 group who did our presentation for us. And if you want to create your own, he's a good resource. All right? But have a presentation. All right? You're going to get to the recap slide. You're going to ask what was different about our approach. You're going to get them to agree with things that are different. They're going to highlight things that are different. You're going to highlight other things if they say, well, it looks about the same as anybody else. You're going to not be offended by that. You're going to go back and assume that you covered it too fast. And you're going to show them what was different. Okay? And then we're going to say, okay, well, assuming we can come together on the price of your home and how much money you're going to net to get to the next chapter of life, am I the right person? Are we the right team to help you get your home sold? Okay? That's one. I'm going to show you another close in a second when I do the presentation, but it's the core of that one. All right? But for this portion of the training, what I want you to understand is every single one of us that have been in a living room enough times have gotten a firm yes and a soft yes. Okay? Soft yes is, I guess so. Yeah, looks pretty good, but what's the price? Looks pretty good, but what's your fee? I think so, but what's your fee? Yeah, but what's your fee? Yeah, but what's the price? That's not firm. That's my red flag. I might need to leave something undone so that I can have a firm follow-up plan with them so I can keep working my way toward the decision-making team. All right? So that's your goal on a soft yes, an actionable plan. I've built in a couple of ways to have an actionable plan. Number one question I get though is, oh, well, how come you have to try and two-step every listing? That is not what I am teaching. If they have a clear plan, you want to ask for the business tonight. If they have a mostly clear plan with an easy action item, ask for the business tonight and then execute on your follow-up plan. But very often a consumer doesn't have a very clear plan, and if you can help them with it, you're going to be the winner. That's where we use the property presentation plan or the right price promise. I'll discuss those as we go through the presentation. All right? So, now, if I showed you a way to help you transition to an awesome new home in, pick a local town, say they're moving locally, and I showed you exactly how much money you'd have for a down payment and what your payments might look like, you know, when would be the ideal time for you to make this move? All I'm doing here is, it was either a soft or a maybe, and I'm asking a clarification question to try and see if I want to close tonight or not. Because if they say yes to this, well, gosh, all right. I'm going to close tonight and then create my action plan of, okay, well, it looks like you're going to net this much. Let's get together with the lender and decide exactly what your payments are going to look like. Start looking for houses, etc. Now, it's hard to train in a vacuum here because there's so many different solutions and questions that people have. All I want you to think about is, do they have clarity in their W's? Do you understand what the W's are? If the answer to that is yes, and you get a firm yes, you should close tonight. If they don't have clarity, then you want to, or they give you a soft yes, you have to decide whether you can clarify to close tonight or you want to set a compelling next step plan. Does that make sense? You lose if you don't set your next appointment. That's the hardest part. Maybe you don't lose. Lots of you are watching the video, sitting in this room, saying, no, I still win. Okay, well, you'll win with twice the effort than if you set your next plan right then. So I want you to exercise your brain and think, okay, oh, I get it. I see what's unclear about their plan. I can't find the next house. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this stuff. I don't know what it's going to cost. I don't know what my payment's going to look like. Those are the pieces of your next step plan that you're going to say to them and say, you know what? I got an idea. I've seen some new stuff about this house today, and I really want to refine my numbers. Let's get back together next week because I also want to loop in my lender, my blank, my blank, my blank, and I'll create this entire plan for them. Okay, so whatever the next plan needs to look like, if the questions are about how the house is going to present, or does it need to be staged, or I'm not sure about the price, or I should find my next house. I might need to talk to a lender. Whatever that is, it's clear. You're writing it down. You're getting on their decision-making team, and then you're deciding, hey, can I get my listing signed tonight and make my next steps plan, or do I want to make my next steps plan and then ask for the listing agreement? It's that black and white. But often what happens is so much data comes at us that we don't try and make it that binary, and then we end up in the never-ending loop of follow-up. To sometimes win, to sometimes lose track of them and lose. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So the way that I like to really think about it for me is, what's the most compelling reason to get back together? Them thinking about how much money they're going to net. That's the most compelling reason to get back together. The trickiest part is, can you leave that undone tonight to have a compelling reason to get back together? without destroying your rapport. If you are intentional about how you set up the conversation, you can do it more frequently than you think. Okay? Oh, I didn't realize your home had blank and blank and blank. I'd really like to refine my numbers so that we can get a really much better feel for what you're going to get and how much you're going to net. In addition to that, we're going to talk about how much what that's going to mean for your down payment and your payments on your next house. Does that sound good? Does that sound fair? Great. Let's get back together 2 days from now. I can firm all that up. That's an example of I decided to two-step them because they didn't have clarity, I didn't have clarity, or I got a soft yes, and I'm not on the decision-making team yet. If I get a soft yes and I'm not on the decision-making team, what does that mean? That means when I ask them the question, am I the right person? And is this the right team and process to get your home sold for you? I think so. Maybe. Yeah, I kind of like some of this stuff. Right there, I either want to clarify so I can close tonight, or I want to clarify to create my next step plan, including an appointment. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the presentation. So hopefully you've seen the before, we've prepared. I'm going to show up at the door, and then I'm going to do my presentation. All right? So I'll get this thing all set up on my part of your preparation is to have your computer on sleep, ready to go. All right, step one, knock knock. Are you ready to get your home sold? I'm Scott with Hometown Advisor Real Estate. You ready to get your home sold tonight? Great. Oh, you have a great home. Let me take off my shoes. Oh, I have some material I prepared for you. You mind if I put this on maybe the kitchen and you could give me a tour so I could see the home and some of the features that you have in it and some of the upgrades you've done, and then I could share with you some of these materials. Does that sound okay? All right. Great. I'm touring. I'm bonding. I'm trying to find, hey, what makes you want to make a move now? Where are you headed? Oh, is it job related? What do you do for work? Are you just trying to shorten your commute? Okay. Anything I notice about bonding with them, I'm going to try my best to bond. All right? It's impossible to do that without a person on the other end. So after the tour, I'm definitely going to minimize how much I discuss anything that I'm going to compliment nice features of the home. If they bring up negative things about the home, oh yeah, I'm going to minimize them. Oh, it's not, oh, gosh, it's never as big as you think. Don't worry about it. I've got a list of contractors and service providers that can help you. I specialize in making this whole thing easy for you, and I don't think it's as big a deal as you think. And then I'm getting back to the kitchen table. When I get back to the kitchen table, I want to probe the whys again. The why, the when, the where, okay? And then I'm going to lead with okay, before we get started and I show you some of the materials, then what I'd like to do is really understand what would you say your top 3 goals with getting your home sold are? Tell me more about that. Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that. Top dollar? Oh, great. Least amount of hassle? Great. Is that about it? Okay. What about speed? I mean, do you have a timing? Is there something you want to do? You know, you want to time it perfectly because you want to close on your next house? Do you want to, what's your plan there? I'm going to probe and I'm going to connect and I'm going to listen. Don't just let them rattle off 3 things without asking more things about it. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about this. Every interaction with them, with these questions and these little stopping off points, I'm trying to connect more and know more about their whys, their W's. All right? Okay, great, fantastic. So tell me, what do you think the top 3 things you need to do in order to get your home sold now? Now that we have your goals, what do you think the top 3 things you need to do? Okay, that's purposefully ambiguous. They're going to tell me things like, oh, probably need to spruce up, probably need to do the bark, might need to paint, might need to do that, declutter. Oh yeah, I can definitely help you with all that. Those are good things. Yeah, well, some of them are not as big a deal. No, I wouldn't get a new furnace because they're not going to notice anything like that as long as it works. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Now that we talked about that, what are the top 3 things, or what do you expect from the real estate community in order to help you get to the next chapter of life? Is there anything in particular you would expect from the real estate community? All right. That's when they're going to tell me if open houses are important, or if commission's important, or an agent story in the past. Have you ever sold a house before? How was that experience? What do you expect from the real estate community based on that? Now I'm ready to present. Okay, well, great. Now what I'd really like to do is show you what's different about our approach. Okay? So there's really actually 3 things that sell homes: price, presentation, and marketing. And if you don't get all 3 right, you won't maximize your selling price. You see, if you have the greatest marketing and even the greatest presentation, but with the internet, if you price it wrong, everybody knows instantly. It's important to get all 3 things right in order to maximize your outcome. I'm going to actually start with marketing. Okay? So it's really important to have a complete plan to maximize exposure and competition for your home. And the way we do that is with our property launch system. And so with our property launch system, every detail is choreographed from the very beginning to make sure that the price is right, the presentation's right, and then it launches our marketing. So what we like to do is we're going to have pictures professionally done. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to launch the house with a countdown timer that's going to create buyer excitement and anxiety for the open houses that first weekend. One of the ways that we do this is that we have a list of over 20,000 registered buyers, and part of our property launch process is to promote it to them, but also to any buyer in the market. With the countdown timer page, we're actually using targeted Facebook ads based on their demographic, their personal criteria, their income criteria, to really make them see the ads for you. Plus, we're going to show it to our internal list of buyers. And if one of our buyers buys your house, you actually save thousands in fees. But we make sure that they have to compete, so you know you got top dollar. Now, one thing we do is we always use a professional photographer. Have you been looking at homes online very often? Because it doesn't take long for you to search and see poor quality photos or an agent that maybe has their reflection in a mirror. We'll never do that because you never have a second chance to make a first impression. And that first impression online starts with photography. The next thing we do is we're going to syndicate and push your listing out to every single place that a buyer could ever see a house. And more importantly, a lot of other ones that you don't even know about. Okay, that's part of our process to maximize the interest and competition for your house. Now, we're also going to be marketing to different audiences, to people that might be in maybe a longer time frame or a shorter time frame. That's how we build that buyers list, that buyers in waiting list. Okay, of course we're going to maximize social media marketing. When we maximize social media marketing, it's all part of creating excitement and buzz with that countdown timer page for the property launch. All right, the next thing we do is we're going to install multiple yard signs. It's very different. You see, our job as a marketer is really to get you in the house. A buyer must see the house. You see, no one ever buys a house from a screen, computer screen, or a curbside. So we have to use the computer screen to have them want to see the house, and the curbside to have them call about the house to see the inside of it. So what you see here is that every single one of our signs has text feature to allow the consumer to see what the house, see the price, the information about the house immediately, and a tour of it. But guess what? When they do act, we have an inside salesperson that's going to call them 7 days a week in order to invite them to see the home. It's very different. Remember, as a marketer, most important things for us is to get them to go from computer screen to go buy the house to then want to see the house. All right, now let's transition from marketing to presentation. So what we have is a property presentation guide. Some of what we have in this folder for you tonight is your property presentation guide. We even have a photography checklist. We're going to help you make sure that your home is show ready and photography ready and give you the tools to do that. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to get the price right. Okay? So, there's a lot of factors that that come into play on the price. The condition, the location, etc. Now, one of the most important things that we look at is price bracketing. What's interesting is if you go on any search app, there's a bottom bracket and a top bracket, okay? And people don't search in the 900s or the 950s. They search in round numbers. It's very common for this person to price at $299,900, and there's a group of buyers that have decided, right or wrong, that anything below 300 isn't great. And I've never seen one that's good. Therefore, I'm not even going to search below 300. It happens in every price point, believe it or not. I know it seems a little illogical, but we're not selling sticks of gum, so it doesn't have to be 99 cents or $9.99. Okay, when people are searching for houses, there's a group of customers, buyers, that have looked enough online and decided that all they've seen is crummy houses below whatever figure we're talking about. In this example, 300. And if they set their bottom search criteria at 300, they never see this house. Similarly, if they say, hey, geez, there's no way I could ever afford more than $300,000, that's really stretching me, and then this person prices it at 305, 900, they're never going to see that house either. Now, I know you're smart and I'm smart, and we know that there's some negotiation that could happen, but buyers are just searching on their apps on their phone. And so we have to price it accordingly. All right, so let's talk about our right price promise. So really there's two types of listing broker. Listing broker number one, whatever you would ask for tonight, you say, hey, geez, this house, you say you want to get $2 million? You bet. Assuming I'm not in a $2 million house. Okay? Then what they're going to do is they're going to hope to create enough rapport with you to have the market teach you that $2 million is not the right price and that you'll lower the price with them. That's listing broker trap number one. But that violates our three-prong rule. Price, presentation, and marketing. If it's overpriced, the best marketing it will not fix it. It still will not be found. Because buyers can see what's available online at every price point. But what's even worse is trap number two. They push hard for this low price because they have a poor marketing plan. You see, because an obvious deal needs no marketing. So if an agent has no marketing plan, then they'd rather you price it low because it'll sell. And the worst part is, if they get you to get a $10,000 price reduction or price it $10,000 low, it might only cost them $300 out of their pocket, but it's going to cost you $10. That's why we created our right price promise. That's why what we'll do as a part of our process with you is our team will also review the information we share tonight and just double validate that we're getting it right. Now back to the marketing. What we have 22 systems that are designed to create maximum exposure, maximum competition, so that more than one person is going to be interested in your house, or more than one person is going to feel like somebody else is interested. Okay? And so there's a lot of new things that we do that's different that I'm going to cover here, but I won't cover all of them, I promise. All right? One of them is, hey, you're going to see that if somebody else buys your home, I'll actually sell their home for free, so they have more money in their pocket to pay you top dollar for your house. That's one of the unique ways that we'll pull buyers off the sidelines and help them buy your house and have more money to pay you more. The next thing is that we have unbranded and branded marketing, more than 22,000 people in our database. If one of them buys your house, if I find that buyer, you're gonna save money. We have two full-time client development specialists, inside salespeople that call back and cultivate appointments. So that right now, because I'm with you, I would never answer my telephone because I'm focused on you. But if somebody calls on one of our other properties, they're there to answer and schedule a tour. That's what you deserve from a team like ours. We do agent appreciation events. We actually give away substantial amounts of money to agents, and we build camaraderie and teamwork with them so that they can enter a raffle and make money when they sell one of our listings, and it doesn't cost you $1. We don't care who sells your house because our marketing is designed to touch all buyers, and if they if a buyer tells their agent from XYZ Realty to come see it, we want them to feel good about selling one of ours. We're going to have beautiful brochures. We have an international buyer system. There is a large international contingent moving to the Pacific Northwest. We have more than 8 Mandarin-speaking agents in our firm and on our team that actively do search for international buyers. Here's something that's very unique. Now, every single time a person shows your house, the agent's immediately going to get a survey. And it's going to be a picture, and it's going to remind them exactly what about the house, and it's going to ask them questions about the house. And the cool part is that when they answer, you get the copy of the feedback, and so do I. And I call behind every single person that shows your house, and I say something like, hey, Joe, I really would appreciate any feedback, and so would my seller. If you could fill out the survey or just give me a call back, I will share that with them, and I promise to do the same when I show one of yours. That sort of extra effort gives me the opportunity to do this. Because we talk to every person that shows, we try to talk to every person that shows it, and if they tell me that there's a finalist and this buyer has it down to your home and another home, what I'm going to do is present the benefits of your home, and then I'm going to ask you, maybe we make a reverse offer. And so let's just say that the buyer said they just don't like the color of the carpet in the family room, then what I'm going to come to you and say is, hey, why don't we write a full price offer and give them a credit for $1,000 for some new carpet in that family room and bring them to the negotiation table. And I'm not just going to talk to the agent and say, hey, Joe, what if we did this? I'm going to actually write an offer so that when I call this agent back and say, hey, when can you present that to your buyer? It's a very different conversation. That's a good example of how we do things. We go above and beyond to make sure we sell your house. That's just an example of the showing feedback system. I'm going to keep you up to date of what's selling in your neighborhood. We're going to talk every single week about what the showing traffic looks like, what the feedback is, and we're going to talk about whether a reverse offer should be done or if the market's starting to tell us something. All right? So we actually sell a lot of homes as a team, and it's not to brag, it's more to explain that a lot of agents, they are independent contractors at whatever firm they're in. So if they don't have a robust selling system or they don't sell very many houses, then they may not have the systems for you. Because I really believe that if you like the way that chocolate chip cookies taste, you should bake them the same way every time. So we use our system every single time to deliver results for you. And the results are these. On average, our sellers make more than $10,000 more in their pocket because we sell our homes for more than the MLS average. So a system that also delivers results is really the most important thing for us. So to kind of top it off, really, though, is that we believe in earning your business every single day. And so every single day, if you ever are unhappy with, you think my team and I'm not delivering on the commitments I made to you, you can fire me at any time. Now, please don't fire me because this is how I make a living. I'm hoping that I'll have enough of a rapport with you that if you're unhappy about something, you'll let me fix it, because fixing it and helping you get to the next chapter of life is my most important goal. So let's talk about, we talked about a lot here. Let me ask you, what'd you see that's different about us? All right, time out. That's the presentation. We're going to talk about closing next. All right? So right here, I want them to pick out something, and we're going to elaborate about it. Oh, that buyer match is cool. Oh, sell your home for free, that's pretty cool. Oh, we didn't even talk about everyday open house because I didn't highlight it on the tour. I should have highlighted everyday open house when I highlighted the text to phone feature. Hey, we all make mistakes. Look, I'm breaking down my game film right here, right in front of you. Okay? But I gave them enough that would help them tell me something that they liked. And I'm going to park here and I'm going to talk about something that they saw that was different about us. That's what sets up your close. All right? Well, great. So now we'll go back in, time in here. All right, so you said that you like the buyer match program, you like the property launch with the countdown timer, and you like the reverse offer strategy. I'm really glad that you noticed those things are different. That's fantastic. So let me ask you this. You know, based on what you've seen here, do you feel like my team and me are the right person to help you get to the next chapter of life? Assuming that we agree on the right price and how much money you're going to net after all of taxes and expenses and all that? Yeah? Okay. Let's just say I got a soft yes for that. Yeah? Kinda. What's the price? Okay. Well, listen, our property launch system works best on a Thursday. Do you think next Thursday or the following Thursday works the best for you? So if it's next Thursday or the following Thursday, all we're going to do is we're going to work backwards from our launch date, and we're going to create our countdown timer page. And what we also have to do is we have to go through and do photography. How do you feel? Ready to get started? So really it's about, do we have the right team? And then we can establish the pricing. Establish your net proceeds, and then we do the paperwork. Let's get started. Get that paperwork out of the way. All right, time out. That's really it. Now, one of two things is going to happen. Through the conversation, before I get to this slide, I know whether I'm going to close hard. That's just, I practiced, okay? I got two different scenarios that are just fresh in my brain, pending sales right now. One listing, they already lived in another town. Their mom was staying in this house, and they were getting their mom moved out, and they were tired of living in an apartment in the next house. Or it's on the border of Washington and Oregon. Okay, I knew all of this about them. Pretty clear plan, would you say? I knew I wanted the paperwork right then. So when I said, hey, property launch works best on a Thursday, this thing looks really good, I'm going to have my staging team in, we'll do the consult, let's go for next Thursday, what do you say? Yeah, great. We didn't even talk about the price before they already said, yeah, great. Then we did the price. We did color picture CMA, and that's what was next. Okay? Alternate ending 2. My client had a lot of uncertainty. Didn't know where they were going to move. This is the client that hadn't shared one of their financial troubles with me yet. Okay? One of the other financial motivators, it's not really a trouble. It's actually something that was pushing them to take action, that they needed to take action, and they needed to downgrade their monthly mortgage expense for the next chapter of life because they're in their 60s. Just made sense for them. So I used the let's create a plan strategy for them. Okay, here's what I want to do. I've seen some really good upgrades in your house, stuff that I couldn't see online and didn't know about. This outdoor kitchen, this, that. What I'd like to do is regroup to come up with some numbers for you. And then I'd also like to bring my team through to help give you some ideas of how to make sure that your house presents perfectly. We'll do the property presentation promise. We'll go through that. We'll finalize the price. We'll go through the net sheet. and then we'll get started. How does that sound? Sounds good. And then I got him on the next appointment. Okay. So this slide is used when you know that you don't have clarity. If they don't have clarity, you say, oh, geez, you know, hey, once we have clarity on all of these things, we can create our launch plan. But until then, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to work with you to help with anything that is unsettling to you, anything that's you're worrying about that would hinder you from getting to the next chapter of life, being delighted with that and delighted with me. So why don't we do this? Let me gather some independent information. I've seen some stuff here, and I'd like to work with my team to really validate the price of your home and what you can expect in your net sheet. Then I'm also going to, if I could even take some pictures tonight, or I could bring one of my staging experts through, and then we can talk about how to present your home, and then we can decide when the right time for your property launch is. Does that sound good? Fantastic. How about we come back together on blank day? Don't forget to always get your next steps planned and have an appointment for it. Most important thing. Okay, next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to price the home and win every single time without being right and losing out on a listing. There's nothing worse. All right, see you on the next video.